Hi all, so I'm super excited to have purchased this Thrustmaster Yoke pack. It's the Boeing edition, so you get the yoke and you also get the throttle quadrant with it. So I just thought I'd do a quick review of it. So I'll show you what you get in the kit, I'll set it up on my PC and we'll see how well it works. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's get this set up. So that's our Thrustmaster Yoke pack unboxed. So what do you get supplied in the pack? So if we start with the yoke itself, so naturally you're going to get the yoke itself, and I'll be telling you a little bit more about this once I have it set up and I'll show you it set up. But my first impressions, it feels absolutely fantastic. It really does look and feel like a genuine Boeing yoke. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. You also get this little metal clip here, which is a nice feature. It just pushes into the back here, and then that allows you to put your tablet here. Just slot it in and it just holds the tablet in a really nice position, which is very clear to see. You get your USB lead, you get an additional spring, and I will be adding this because most people say you get a much more realistic feel on the actual tension of the yoke when you add this additional spring. So it's just going to firm it up a little bit, and I will be adding that later. You get a little hex key here which allows you to undo the cover to add the spring in. You also get a poster which shows you the different configurations that you can have in terms of the yoke and also the quadrant as well. And there is this very quick user guide there. I do find it better just to go over to the website, the Thrustmaster website. There's a lot more information there. It's much clearer, so you don't get a whopping great big manual here. Just head on over to the Thrustmaster website and you can see all the information there on how to set this up. If we go over now to the quadrant itself, you'll notice there that there is only 3 slots on here, which is a shame. It's a shame they don't have the 4th slot because essentially you're provided with 4 levers, and it's a little bit of a shame that you can't have all 4 of these on. So you're going to need to decide your configuration. So that could be to have your 2 thrust levers here with a flap, and you leave off the brake, or you put the brake on and leave off the flap, for example, or you can just have 1 throttle lever and then have the flap and the brake on either side. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to purchase an additional quadrant so that I can have a 4-engine Boeing with the 4 thrust levers with the brake and the flap on each side to make it a little bit more realistic. You also have your autopilot setting here, which is fantastic to see, and all these buttons are configurable to decide what you want them to do. You also, if you buy the pack as well, you get the clamp, which is fantastic. You get the clamp for the quadrant, and I don't believe you get that supplied if you purchase the quadrant on its own. So it's good if you do buy this as a pack, you get this clamp supplied with it. You get your USB lead for the quadrant. Again, a little user guide there, quick setup guide, but again, go over to the website and that will give you more information. You also have these feet here, rubber feet that get stuck onto the bottom of the quadrant to stop it sliding around on the desk, for example. Okay, so that's what you get supplied in the box. So let's get this set up now on my desk and on my PC, and I'll show you it in action. Okay, so I've got my Thrustmaster now set up. So all I did was I've naturally attached both to the desk, which is really nice. I've connected the quadrant to the actual yoke via the back, and then the yoke actually plugs into the PC. I've also plugged my headphones into the yoke as well. So there is just the one cable running down to the PC, the USB cable. So I've just flown a 737 on X-Plane, and it's absolutely fantastic. It literally does change the flight simulator. It makes it more immersive. It makes the whole experience much more realistic. So you can see there that all I did was I had to configure a little bit the quadrant because of the way I've got it laid out. So I have the 2 throttles here on the left with the flap here, and I've configured this slider here on the yoke to be the speed brake. But if you leave this as the default with the 2 thrusts or the 2 throttles here on the right with the speed brake here, then that is the default configuration. So Microsoft Flight Simulator, you would just plug it in and you're ready to go. The only other thing I needed to do was to switch around the landing gear because the up was down and the down was up. So I've just put that in reverse in X-Plane and that's worked, no problems. So all I did was install the drivers on my PC. I then did a firmware update using the firmware update software and it's good to go, and it really is absolutely fantastic. And even to have those reverse thrusts as well on here is just amazing. So you can see there as I'm adjusting the yoke, you can see there in the 737 it's just adjusting really nicely, and that's the same there with the throttle levers and the flap as well. So in terms of pros and cons, so the yoke I just cannot fault. I think it's absolutely amazing. It gives you such a great feel. I've been controlling the planes using the mouse and keyboard for many months, and this is just a completely different experience. You honestly feel like you're flying the plane. The quadrant is great, but what I can't understand is why Thrustmaster didn't give you 4 axes on this quadrant, because it would have been nice just to have had the 2 thrust levers here, the flap, and then your speed brake on the left hand side. But naturally you only have 3 axis on here, which is such a shame. Yes, you can configure it how you want it, and what I could have done is just had 1 thrust lever in the middle with the air brake and the flap on the right, but I just prefer to have this nicer feel with the thrust of having the 2 thrusts there for the 2 engines. So that's one of the slight minuses that I find with this quadrant. It would have been nice to have that extra slot, but what I am going to do is buy another one of these, connect them together, so therefore it gives me the ability not only to have it how I want it, but also to fly a 4 engine plane, to have those 4 thrust levers there as well. So I will at some point buy an extra quadrant to go with this, but honestly, all in all, this is absolutely fantastic. So the only other slight negative that I found is when you're adjusting the flaps there and even the speed brake, you don't have that detent. You don't feel the clicks going in. So you just kind of have to, you get used to it where it is, but you can purchase additional slots that go into your quadrant that does give you that detent feel. And also you can purchase with that, you can purchase additional levers that come up higher and they're much bigger for your thrust levers as well. But to be honest with you, just using it out of the box like this is so good. It's so much better than using mouse and keyboard, and it's really added to my bug really for a flight simulator. And now I just want to purchase the rudder pedals as well, and it just adds massively to the flight experience. So this is the Thrustmaster. It's the Boeing edition kit. You can purchase the quadrant on its own, you can purchase the yoke on its own, or you can purchase it as a kit like that, like I have here. And it is a lot more cost effective if you buy it as a kit rather than buying these 2 separately. So as I mentioned, you've got this clip here, so you can put slot a tablet in there as well. So yeah, I really can't fault it. It comes highly recommended. It's available on Amazon as a kit or separately, and it really is a fantastic product, and it's going to make all the difference to your flight simulation experience.